Okay, so Mishlei. So we're gonna try something a little ambitious. Mishlei, 3 pesukim. Okay, so this is chapter 15, pesukim 31, 32, and 33. And the reason why I picked this is because we quoted 33 last time, and I kind of wanted to understand it in context. I think that since we talked so much about Yiras Hashem, that'll help us. And since we talked so much about anava leading to kavod, that'll also help us. So we're gonna kind of shortcut our usual process. Okay, we'll translate it. We're not going to write down all the questions. We're going to immediately start thinking and theorizing, and then we have Rabbeinu Yonah, who I think learns them in conjunction with each other. I don't know if you have to, but you'll see why in a second. Okay, Ozen shoma'a tochachas chaim b'kerev chachamim talin. Okay, so a ear that. Okay, so here's maybe I don't know if it has to be that though.
Because otherwise there should be like a comment like Ozen Shomat is more like a proper like
a hearing ear. Yeah, right. Okay, so we can translate it that way. An ear hearing. Sorry, not hearing. I think listening to is probably better. Tochachas chaim, as he walks in.
A warning for life.
Yeah. So so I guess a rebuke of life would be the most general way to translate it. Rebuke for life, rebuke that leads to life. Rebuke of life. B'kerev chachamim talin.
In the closest of the sages, you will reside.
Yeah. So the kerev, I think, in the vicinity. Okay, vicinity, or I think usually kerev is like a midst, right? Midst. So, but vicinity is also good. Okay, in the midst or vicinity of the wise, he will reside. Okay, talin usually means to spend the night somewhere, but I don't think it means that. Like in Mitzvah Tion says inyan hasmada, it means he'll persist. Okay, 32. Porea musar moes nafsho v'shomea tochachas kone lev.
Can I just ask a question? Do you necessarily need to put the comma after life?
Yes. Yeah, that's how it's. I'll show you. This how it was broken up in the Tamim. Ozen Shema Tochachas Chaim, comma, B'kerev Chachamim Talin. Yeah. Okay. The Shomea Tocha. Yeah. So Porea Musar Mois Nafsho. So Porea.
Like a detached.
Hey. Detached. No. Are you getting that from Sota?
Maybe.
Or from Avelus? Isaac, I think you do need this. Which volume is that? 1 or 2? Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen the word and I know that it's a negative connotation and it's probably it doesn't accept them.
So I would reject it. I would translate as reject. Okay, one who rejects. But then the Mitzvah Sion translates it as inya hashbasa ubitol, one who negates. Okay. Or like ceases from.
Okay. Reject is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I don't wear that.
Yeah, because Porea also means to dishevel. I don't know if that's what you think. Like the Sota dishevels her hair.
You had like Porea.
Oh, that's another thing, right? So that
I'm doing 7th American brachos with Ezra right now. I'm talking about like dissolving the chiyuv.
Right. Yeah. People do use that way. It might be that might be a difference between Chazal's usage and Tanakh's usage, because I don't think Tanakh uses it to mean to pay off an obligation. I'm not sure.
It's more like when you have 3 people eating together and one person leaves, like he's like gonna break it up. It's gonna
Right. Okay. So if you're looking for yourself, you can do that. I don't need to hear it though, because we were short on time today. Moes nafsho. So one who rejects musar. And I'm so what are the 2 translations of Musar we said yesterday?
Discipline or teaching.
Discipline or more specific type of teaching. Rebuke. Okay. And I think those are 2 separate things. Discipline meaning the ongoing discipline that you exercise at all times, and then rebuke being a specific instance of someone points out to you like a mistake you've made in your decision making or something you're doing wrong. So one who negates Musar. Moes nafsho.
Melts his soul.
What do you soul disgusting?
Yeah, so it really is the other way around. Despises his soul or is disgusted by his soul. Okay. Despises his soul. Okay. Or I think despises fits better than disgusting here. Or rejects is another way to say it. Okay, it's a synonym for porea also. Okay, v'shomea tochachas.
Synonyms.
V'shomea tochachas kone lev. But one who listens to rebuke, right?
Acquires a heart.
Acquires a heart. Okay, if you've ever wanted to know how to get a heart, if only the Tin Man read this. Yeah. All right, and then we had the one we said yesterday. Fear.
What does it mean when what's in that context?
That's what we're gonna have to understand. Yeah. Fear of Hashem is the discipline of wisdom or rebuke of wisdom. Obviously, it doesn't mean you rebuke wisdom. It means wisdom rebukes you. Of lifnei kavod anava, and before honor, humility. Yeah. Okay. So let's get rid of that. The only thing Sadigon changes. Oh, I just preserved Sadigon here because you'll see what he did. It's a callback to yesterday. Yiras Hashem musar ha-chachma. Fear of Hashem is the musar of the chachma. Uve ikvus ha'anava kavod, and kavod is on the heels of anava. Right, I think they're on the heels of meaning it follows. Kavod follows from anava. Yeah, all right, fine. And you know what? Targum, we don't have time for Targum today. Okay, sorry, Targum. All right. Okay, our scroll really quickly. The ear that hears life. What was it? Okay. I found. By the way, remind me to show you later. I found a thing about Onkelos interacting with Jesus. Okay. yeah. I don't know if it's like the real Jesus or whatever, but I was like, that's a TV show. Yeah. Yeah. I think it also involved necromancy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Also, just like Onkelos' like whole thing with debating people, like that would be an interesting debate.
Okay, so the ear that hears life-giving reproof. So they translate as life-giving reproof or rebuke, meaning like it gives you life. Okay, will abide in the midst of the wise. He who negates discipline, negates is also a good word for Perea, despises his soul. But one who listens to reproof acquires an understanding heart. This articles move all the time almost. When it says Lev in Mishlei, they'll put in understanding. So that would be taking Lev as mind, right? Because you understand with your mind. Fear of Hashem is the discipline of wisdom, and humility precedes honor. Okay, Living Nach says, an ear that hears life-giving reproof dwells among the wise. He who rejects moral instruction detests himself. That's Mois Nafsho. But he who detests is another good one. But he who listens to rebuke acquires a heart. Fear of God is the discipline that leads to wisdom. So they don't say the discipline of wisdom. They said that leads to wisdom. Probably because honor must be preceded by humility, because humility leads to honor. Okay, altar pulls an altar. Okay. Oh, I just realized that's an actual pun. You'll see. An ear hearing rebuke for life in the midst of the wise will abide. Who casts off reproof despises himself, but he who heeds rebuke gets understanding. The Lord's fear is wisdom's foundation. Okay, and humility comes before honor. So here's his altar in his footnote here, wisdom's foundation. The Masoretic text has musar chachma, the reproof of wisdom, which is conceivable but odd. This translation adopts a small, widely proposed emendation, musad, foundation for musar. Okay, so he changes the word musar to musad, which I don't even know if that's a biblical Hebrew word. I know it's a modern Hebrew word. This would bring the verse in line with several statements in Proverbs that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Okay,
he alters something.
He alters something. Yeah, that's the pun. Yeah, nice. So, but again, he's just so quick to throw out the Masoretic text, which I guess if you're an academic, then there's no difference between the Masoretic text and the Septuagint or the other manuscripts. But for us, we hold by them.
Just like
so
Cain and Bing.
Right? Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's not talking about the biblical character and the Batman villain. That was in case you were wondering. Yeah. That was talking about a puzzle we did on Monday.
But
okay.
It is ancient, like you said, it's not like a modern word to do foundation for Mossad.
Musad?
Yeah.
Yisod is definitely a Hebrew, old Hebrew word, but Musad, is that? I wonder if that's ever used. Or Mossad. Yeah, I've never seen it, but I don't know all of Tanakh, but we can look it up later. Okay, so let's get to the thing here, right? So, what are the main questions?
Can I raise the main question for the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, is the vicinity being there, is that what's causing him to listen, or is it that by listening he's then going to reside?
So that's a good question. I think that you not have to learn it, but I think that the plain shot is that it is a consequence or a result. That if you have an ear or are an ear that listens to Tochachah, talin, you will reside in the care of Chachamim. If it didn't have it in the future tense, then you could say causally either way. Yeah. Now it could be that that's what draws you there, right? In other words, it doesn't mean like it is future tense, but it can mean that if you do this, you'll get that as a result, or if you do this, then you will seek that, but it is going, it's causal. Yeah.
What is the 31? How do you read like the full concept? Like you're listening to Rebuke of Life in vicinity of the wise he will reside.
Yeah, he will reside in the vicinity of the wise.
Is that a causal effect on the person?
Yeah, that's what Sean just asked. Yeah. You
Okay,
gotta listen to the Rebuke of the Wise. Yeah, no,
sure.
yeah.
Do you,
Okay,
if you
so
listen
I
to
just-
Oh, you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a question. So on the pasuk 31, is that like listening to something, just like opening up your ears and just absorbing?
Yeah.
Versus this 32 is like shomea can actually mean like listen, like you understand what it means.
Okay, so there are 3 definitions of shomea, right? This is just in general, right? There's listen / hear, there's understand, and then there's obey, right? And if you need a source for that, then I quoted the Chuvas Harashba on the Trinity. I think I quoted that in Mishlei earlier this year, right? So and you should have all 3 in mind when you say the Shema, is what the Rav says. So
All 3 meanings of Shema.
all 3 meanings of Shema when you say the Kriya Shema, right? So
they're all wrapped in one.
they're all 3. Okay, they're all possible meanings of them.
We're not
This is
having
funny.
another
Yeah. But was that a joke or a real question or both? Okay, yeah. But when you say the Shema, he's saying that you do need all 3. That the first step is you have to listen to the teachings of the Torah. Then you have to understand them, and then you obey them from that understanding. Yeah. So here, to answer your question, it could mean someone who just listens to Chachamim. And understands them, what I think would go hand in hand. But then I think obeying, like, also like is implied here, right? Like if you just listen to Chachamim and you go off and you ignore it, then you're in the next pasuk, right? So I think it must mean who obeys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where's the rebuke coming from? Is it like circumstance that something happens to him in life and then he learns from the consequences?
Okay.
Or is it a specific person?
Okay, so this is my interpretation of Tochachah, okay, that I don't take it like the art school does of life-giving reproof, like that the reproof gives life, that the rebuke of life, right? So there's 2 types of musar you can get. There's musar of Shlomo Melech, and then there's musar of the school of life, right? And they help with each other, right? So I think that it is, I don't know, like I'm inclined to think, and I'm not saying it has to be this way, I'm inclined to think that Tochachas Chaim is like the Tochachah you get from life, or it's like Shlomo says in the first parak that wisdom cries out in the streets, and you could like hear musar everywhere. That's like someone who can get it from either life circumstances or watching other people. Like there's all these pesukim in Mishlei of like Shlomo says, I passed by the house on the corner of Beach 9th and Cornega, and behold, it is all covered in garbage, and it is all being overcome with vines. And I took I took musar from that, about what laziness does. Yeah.
I heard a great quote about this.
Yeah.
That life keeps teaching you the same lessons until you learn them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So I think that this is one of the crossroads you have to take here is, if you're talking, if this whole thing could be talking about musar that is taught, okay, and that would take you down one road, or it could be talking about musar as a way of life, in which case Tochas Chaim is the musar you get from life, someone who rejects that musar, and then musar chachma being the discipline of chachma would be how you live. I think these are the 2 routes you could take. Yeah.
So another question.
Yeah.
What does it mean to reside in the midst of chacham?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
right?
Is it physically like you're sitting in the gathering place of chachamim?
Yeah.
Or is it like you're in like the class of chachamim, or something like something else?
Yeah. Right. So that's a good question. The Rabbi Moskowitz will always say that on this pasuk that this is what gets you into the Chacham club. Like if you're someone, like you might think that in order to get into the club of Chachamim, you need to be actually like a Chacham, but Mishlei's stance is even if you are someone who heeds Tochachah, that'll get you into the Chacham club. Now, what that means, we have to figure out. Now, again, I know we're shortcutting our usual process. Let's read Rabbeinu Yonah. I mean, there's a lot of different takes we can have on this. I just wanted to get the thoughts flowing. Let's look at Rabbeinu Yonah and see if we could put together his understanding. Okay. So Rabbeinu Yonah not Sadigon, says,
Oh.
yeah. Ozen Shema Tochachas Chaim B'Kerev Chachamim Talin. So Ozen Shema's Tochachas Chaim. Uvah Mikra Ha'elyon. Okay, this part we can conveniently ignore. Uvah Mikra Ha'elyon Hakdama Lazeh. So the previous pasuk is an introduction to this one. Kasher Ba Lev Sameach Yetiv Panim. Hakdama Asher Acharav Lev Navin Yivakesh Das. Okay, I checked it out. I think we can ignore it because I think we could take this as one thing. In other words, it's a hakdama, not in a necessary sense, but in a like introducing the subject sense. Okay, but here we go. So he doesn't take a stance on what yet on what Ozen Shema'as is. B'kerev Chachamim Talin Kasher Naus V'Roi, as is proper and fitting. L'maskilim b'chachma lishul ulhashiv, that those who are yes. I was right. I was like, how many people are going to come today? And I'll guess how many we need. And we got the exact number of amount. Okay. So he says, "Lamaskilim b'chachma lishul ulhashiv," to those who are intelligent in chachma, to ask and to answer. Lasheves b'kerev chachamim, to sit in the midst of chachamim. Kain roi lasheves b'zocham. So too, it's fit that he should sit among them. Mish yesh lo ozen shoma'as tochachas chaim, someone who has an ear that listens to the rebuke of life. The Chachamim will desire and rejoice in his friendship, okay, his companionship. Even though his mind is not expansive enough to grasp the Chachma, then nevertheless he will be preferable and honorable in their eyes. Since he comprehends the words of their rebuke, and he wants to hear them, because he will arrive from that to a high level. After he, as it says after this. So let's stop and hear what he's saying. So how is he interpreting the pasuk? Yeah.
Tochachah, it seems like he's saying there's two types of tochachah in here. One is the one that like leads him to them, and then the other one is like when he's with them, he listens to them. Because when he says that
yeah,
like it's rolling for him to like sit with them, and then after that, then he says the whole that they'll be happy with him because he's gonna like learn from their rebuke and all that.
Okay, right. So in other words, the reason why he's hanging out with them in the first place is that's a good source of Tochachah, right? And he pre-existingly is someone who wants to hear Tochachah, so he's going to go where you can find it, and then once he's there, he will listen even more to them.
And it's symbiotic, like it's enjoy having
exactly right. So it's symbiotic, and it's not like he's like the like the annoying person that they're like pushing off. They welcome him into the group, and even though he's not on their class, like he's not involved in like I think this first description was describing who they are. They are maskilim b'chachma lishul hashiv. They're like comprehending chachma, not tochachah, but chachma, to ask and answer. They're engaged in all these like intellectual discussions. So you would think that they would exclude him, but no, they welcome him because he wants to hear Tochachah, and that's going to lead him to a higher level. Okay, so what's the point? That's the question we have to answer. Like, why is he saying this? Like, you know,
why do the Chachamim like enjoy that?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like, I could kind of see it, but like at the same time, like I mean, the Halvin is pretty strong. That like they would just want to be doing a thing, you know,
right,
talking their Torah, like not have to like talk to this guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what does it mean? I don't know. Like, gracious? I don't know. It means like you translate the words, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Also, is like the discussion that they're involved in does not seem to be exclusively about Tochachah. Right? They will talk about Tochachah, but it's not exclusively that. So what is? We need to get a better understanding of the symbiotic relationship. Yeah. Okay, let's read on. Again, we're getting into the big picture. Porea Musar Moes Nafsho, one who rejects Musar, detests his own soul. V'shomea tochachas kone lev, but one who listens to rebuke acquires a heart. Porea Musar, okay, fine. Kinyan halev, acquisition of a heart. Hu kinyan hamidos hanichbados v'habachiros hanivcharos. So he does not learn it as an understanding heart. He says lev here means the acquisition of midos. Isaac, do you happen to know what Rabbeinu Yonah says on the Mishnah in Avos of when they're saying the 5 things that you should seek? And he says the Lev Tov. Lev Tov is the best because it includes all of them. I feel like that's one that you've done.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember being very confused by the Mishnah.
Okay, fine. So I'm going to make a wager here. I'll wager learning. Like if we get it, then we learn. Either if we win or lose. That Rabbeinu Yonah says on that Mishnah that Lev means midos. Okay, we'll see. We'll have to look it up afterwards. All right. So this guy will get good midos and choice midos. So he's going to get to a high level through Tochachah. Okay, so now we're beginning to form a picture here. So the guy starts off just desiring Tochachah, okay, and that benefits him in the particular. But the Chachamim like that because they know that that guy is going to get to a higher level, which is he's going to start to develop good midos. So you start by listening to Tochachah. That's one midah really, is Ozen Shema'as. Then from there you get to good midos. Okay, then the last level, or the last pasuk here, Yiras Hashem Musar Chachma Blifnei Kavod Anava, Musar Samuch. So Musar here is a smichus, is the Musar of Chachma. Vatam Musar Shenischayev HaChachma, Musar that Chachma obligates you in. Okay, and we said that that's in contrast to Musar Ivelas, to the Musar of foolishness. Okay, that foolishness could also make you very disciplined, but you're disciplined to folly. Va Musar Hahu, Alter has a Yesod Yiras Hashem, right? Yeah, he's just Rabbeinu Yonah is not changing the words though. This Musar is a foundation of Yiras Hashem. Okay, now where does he know that from? He knows that from the fact that in chapter 1, pasuk 7, Yiras Hashem Reishis Das Musar Chachma Musar Evilim Bazu. Yiras Hashem is the foundation of knowledge. Okay, it's the beginning. V'tachin, it's possible to say. What
is Musar Shenischayev HaChachma? The
Musar that Chachma obligates you in.
Meaning
Meaning that if you
Musar means discipline. Right?
Musar here I think means discipline. Yeah. I think he's not learning it here as Tochachah, even though it sounds like he is learning it it sounds like Ozen Shema Tochachas Chaim is actual rebukes, I think.
Yeah.
But then it sounds like he transitions to like discipline. Okay, B'tachin, it's also possible to say ki yechsar beis, that it is it's lacking a beis. Kamo ki sheshes yamim means so in that pasuk ki sheshes yamim as Hashem es hashmayim v'sa'aretz. It doesn't mean because 6 days God created the heavens and the earth. It means because in 6 days God created the heaven and the earth. So it could mean Yiras Hashem bim musar chachma. The fear of Hashem is in musar chachma. Okay, so either Yiras Hashem is Musar Chachma or Yiras Hashem is in Musar Chachma. Ki al yedei Musar HaChachma b'tikun midos, that through Musar HaChachma, through the perfection of your midos, yagiu liYiras Hashem, you will arrive at Yiras Hashem. Okay, so either it's stating a definition or it's stating a formula, right? All right. V'lifnei kavod anava. It's explaining an example of these musarim, of these disciplines, and giving some of its causes. And the reason, so in other words, the second half he's learning as an example. You have the main principle, and then one example is Livnei Kavod Anava. The reason why it's mentioning this particular musar, Lefisha Amru Rabbeinu Zal, is because Chazal say Anava Gedola Mikulam. Anava is greater than all of them. I guess it's the best of the midos. V'hinei Hamikra Hazeh Be'er Lamala Hagedola Shemagia Elah Hamina Musar. It's this pasuk is explaining to you the high level that you get to from musar. Al Kain Roy Shetalim Beker Chachamim Ozen Shemas Tochachas Chaim. Therefore, it's proper for the one who listens to the rebuke of life to dwell, to reside in the company of Chachamim. Okay, so you put it all together, and what do you get? That's our question here. So let's review really quickly, right? So you have a guy who has a trait of Ozen Shema Tochachas Chaim. He listens to Tochachah. So I think we have to figure out what exactly is that trait. Okay. That guy, that trait will bring him to hang out with Chachamim. Okay, so he'll hang out with them because he's getting Tochachah from them. Okay, maybe I'm beginning to think maybe it's not like they're rebuking him necessarily, but it could be that the subject that they talk about is going to be Tochachah. Okay, so it would help. The best source is going to be from them because apparently he can't generate Tochachah on his own. He's dependent on others for hearing it.
Sounds like a which one is that?
Pesi, yeah, right. So this would be something. Pesi could be in this category, right? So he'll get the chachma from the chachamim, and they will enjoy his company. All right. So we need to understand like what exactly that session looks like, right? And like why are they enjoying his company, and why is Rabbeinu Yonah highlighting that?
Just an idea on that.
Let me actually. I just want to outline all the facts. Then the next pasuk is saying that it's fine. He doesn't explain the first half, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but one who rejects Musar hates his soul. But then if he continues to listen to this, he's going to arrive at perfection of Midos. Okay, then the third pasuk is saying, it's defining the type of Musar we're talking about, which is kind of implied in the first part. It's Musar that comes from Chachma. Okay, as opposed to, for example, when you hear various Rebbeim in this yeshiva downplaying certain types of Musar, that's what they call fire and brimstone Musar, right? If you do this, you're going to burn in Gehenna, or like, Musar that relies on fear, shame, and guilt. Right, the where like you make the person feel guilty, and then that makes them like change their behavior until the guilt wears off, and then they, that's not Musar that has to stem from Chachma. That type of Musar just relies on like awakening guilt. Okay, fine. So it's Musar that comes from Chachma that either is Yiras Hashem or will bring you to Yiras Hashem. Okay, which connects to yesterday's pesukim. Maybe. And then, right, because that was what one of the approaches of yesterday, that's different. That was saying another brings you to Yiras Hashem. Okay, whatever. This would be more the symbiotic relationship that because he says here that this will lead you to anava, which will lead you to kavod. Okay, Chaim, what do you want to say?
Oh, this was it's just a point about Chachamim.
Yeah.
It seemed maybe he either said it or you said it like out, but that that because of the Musar Chachma from the Chachamim, the guy will we know that he'll get better, but then the reason that the Chachamim are it's symbiotic for the Chachamim for that reason. Like they know that this Musar can help the person become a better person, and they kind of are more perfected, I guess. And they want that.
They want the guy to become perfected. Okay.
Why not?
Okay, so I'll give you an argument why not. Okay, no, I'm not saying that they don't want the guy to be perfected, but my understanding, and again, this is not coming from a specific source. My understanding of all the pesukim I've ever learned about Chachamim and Tzadikim in Mishlei, Chachamim are not necessarily interested in improving others. They have self-interest, right? The tzaddik does care about improving others because he cares about the system. So my intuition would lead me to think that if the Chachamim like him, it's because they're getting something out of it. Yeah.
So this is just talking about what I think is happening in the first place.
Okay.
Might not be a full thing.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about what the opposite of someone who listens to from the Chachamim, the opposite person is someone who I think wants to be in an echo chamber that's telling him that whatever he's doing is good.
Okay, right. So just link this up with one more thing that you could elaborate. The opposite is Porei Musar, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So I just wanted to make that explicit.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the reason why he rejects Musar is because he just wants all of his own views and ways of life affirmed. Yeah.
And so someone who's going out and seeking disconfirming who's seeking out knowledge that differs from what he's doing is going to be intellectually curious and open to understanding why the things they're doing are wrong.
Yeah.
And I think for Chachamim, I think it's great to have someone like that to talk to, because then it's kind of the thing about learning from your Talmidim.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
We're having discussions with someone who isn't coming from the same viewpoint and doesn't have the same premises, but is open to understanding why they might be wrong.
Yeah,
is a great way to sharpen your Chachma.
Right, definitely. Okay, good. So I was thinking along the same lines that what's the selfish benefit that the Chachamim get? They get more Chachma, right? But the reason why they get more Chachma is because they have someone who's not on their level, right, of understanding Chachma, who is seeking to have his mind broken open to be exposed to a new framework. And because he's eager to understand and to apply, it is going to force them to become clearer in their own understanding and to bring it down to the practical. Just one side point also, again, this is one of the, obviously I like teaching here, but one of the big downsides here of teaching in a yeshiva is that I don't have access to teenagers who know nothing, and or better for me than knowing nothing is they think they know stuff, like having ninth graders who are like coming at it from a completely either immature or like ignorant or think that they really know stuff. And then what was that? Corrupted, right? And then like going, and then them digging in their heels, like really forces me to go to the nth degree in getting absolute clarity. Whereas, no offense, you guys know stuff, but you're also, because you know stuff, you don't push as hard, and then that's bad for me. Yeah. So, be more immature. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually why I actually started doing this. There's no reason I shouldn't do this here. Also, in my Friday women's shiur, which happens to have very like intelligent women, I say that at the beginning of shiur, I make the same announcement every time. I say, I know for a fact that lots of people listen to the recordings, so please feel free to stand in as proxies for questions that you don't have, but you think that other people might have. And then what that does is your mom's very good at this, is that asking questions she knows the answers to, but she at earlier stages in her development, she would have asked this. And so when she asked that, it just brings out better understanding. So feel free to do that as well. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
It seems like Musar Chachma is not the Musar that's talked about in the first two pesukim, which is more just like being open-minded, like not so intentional, but you're like allowing it to come in.
Yeah.
Whereas Musar Chachma is like a well thought out. I don't remember where it said like La Siga La Chachma. Right. So in Amud Aleph, like you don't even necessarily need to open your heart up to, like you don't need to make an intent of incorporating what the Chacham are saying. You're just
receptive.
Exactly. Just an open book. Whereas Mama Gimel, it's kind of like the only way to attain the fear of God is like a very purposeful, thought out,
right. That's a good point, right? In other words, the way this guy starts off might not even be ready to actually change like all of his life just to come in, but it starts off with just like the quality is ozen shama'as, which does seem to be not obedience, but like hearing, so I take it back when I said before that it is if it talked about like I don't know, like chacham shomas or something like that. Like there, it could be like he wants to actually obey. Oz and shomas just seems to be like the receptivity, and then it leads to this other thing. Yeah, David.
I was just gonna say that. I think that it's still worth what we're saying about a person. Right. Like he might not be willing to change, but he's interested in hearing and discussing.
Right.
Question.
What?
He might be willing to change. He's willing to question.
Yeah. Yeah. David?
Yeah, just are we taking what he's saying as an approach?
I think so. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that seems to be the direction.
The question. So, who's the audience then for this?
Yeah. Right. The audience of the first one sounds like the Chachamim, but the cluster of pesukim makes it sound like it's this guy who is right now just knows in Shema'as, but this is showing him his developmental trajectory, right? You're going to start off just Ozen Shema'as, but and it's saying the Chachamim will like you because you're going to benefit them, and then you're going to gain from them, and then you're going to get these good midos, and then you're going to get to Yiras Hashem, and then you're going to get anava, and then you're going to get kavod.
Yeah, I guess I'd say when a person is in this state where he's hearing, where he's hearing Tochachah that like makes sense to him, but would be like a huge pain, to actually accept.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's plotting the two trajectories where you could be like, no, I'm not going to do this, and then because it really is painful and difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But it's saying if you go the opposite direction, where you actually are willing to take that very hard step.
Yeah.
Then at the end you'll get midos and da.
Yeah. It is interesting that he does have to, apparently this guy does need to be told Porea Musar Mois Nafsho. In other words, like you said, it is hard to hear Musar, and it doesn't mean that this guy is going to be eagerly running to get advice from the Chachamim no matter what. And so in those moments, he needs to hear that if he rejects Musar, it really is not in his self-interest. It's like I always associate to, the classic like mean older sibling move of grabbing the younger sibling's hand and like make him hit himself. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting, So if you hate Musar, it's like, why are you hating yourself? Why are you hating yourself? Like you're just like beating yourself up. Yeah.
I was wondering,
Thank you for the developmentation.
I was wondering.
Makes it real.
Only because like you said, we're going to talk about the first half.
Yeah.
Of all of that. So I was wondering a little different than what you just said.
Yeah.
But is it possible to translate nafsho as like your conscience? And that like the guy who like is actively is like actively like rejecting it, like he's like gonna like resent or hate like that, like a part of him that's like, hey, maybe you should listen to this.
So I'm only smiling because you're wading, according to the Rabbeinu, you're wading into dangerous territory based on last night's shiur about nefesh meaning conscience. Yeah. So my understanding is in Rabbeinu Yonah's framework, ruach would be conscience, if anything, because ruach is your psyche, and nefesh is either going to be your intellect or your animalistic. Rabbeinu Yonah is pretty emphatic that nefesh means like your instinctual drives, or your physical, So I'm not what do you call like inclined towards that reading. Yeah.
Because like I'm trying to think of like how's the guy hating. Like what does it mean?
So what it means is that if you reject Musar, who's going to get the consequences? You.
So it's not that like he's actively hating anything. It's just like, this is what you're doing. You're basically saying that you hate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Donnie Kuznicki sent me a quote last night from Victor Hugo. I don't know where it's from, but this is a really good Mishlei quote. He says, when God desires to destroy a thing, he entrusts its destruction to the thing itself. And that's very Mishlei. Like when you reject Musar, you're just destroying yourself. There's another similar pasuk to this earlier in Mishlei that says that it's one of these pesukim where Tochachah is talking. It says, "Those who despise me love death." That if you hate Chachma, then evidently you love death, and death here not meaning like you're going to get killed necessarily, but you love worsening the conditions of your own life. Yeah.
Like there have been times where I've like given someone advice,
Mm-hmm.
like when someone's like, oh, like what do you think about me like doing this thing? I'm like, no, don't do that because you're gonna like it's just gonna have really bad consequences for you. And they're like, they really want to do it anyway, like it's a taking revenge or something like that. Like and then they do it, and the other consequences, and it really works. It's really bad for them.
Right. Yeah. So let's just refine our answer a little bit more to who this is talking to, and then what's the unifying idea. So it seems like the approach we're taking here is it is talking to someone who already has an ozen shama'as, potentially someone who like could cultivate that, but it seems like the direct audience is someone who has an ozen shama'as and is discouraged, right? That if I have an ozen shama'as, like, okay, fine. So I like Tochachah, but like that's basically like the ceiling, But it's saying no. You're going to seek out, or you should seek out this Tochachah with the Chachamim. They will welcome you, and you are in their club, as Rabbi Moskowitz says. That you're attached to Chachma in this way, right? You might not be someone who's going to be like a abstract philosopher or like a Brisker Lamdan, but you are involved in the world of Chachma because you care about Musar Chachma. That is in turn going to lead you to develop good midos, and they're going to keep facilitating that because it helps them as well. Okay, and then when you get those good midos, then that's going to bring you to Yiras Hashem, which is one of the highest. Either that is Yiras Hashem, or it will bring you to Yiras Hashem. Okay, which is one of the highest levels, and will also bring you to Anava and a bunch of other good midos, which will lead you to success in the world also. So you're on the right track, but you have to be careful to not give into that part of you that wants to reject the Musar, primarily because you're then going to be shooting yourself in the foot. That's Mois Nafsho, but also because you're going to be cutting yourself off or compromising your ability to get all these other things. And another thing, I'm just remembering now what Rabbi Moskowitz used to say about this one is that, there were, he would give a Mishlei shiur for like adults, like not like high school students at his house every week. And there were he would say, I have had grandmothers who started learning Mishlei in their 70s, and they would only come once a week. And then like slowly by slowly, like the way that they make decisions starts to change, and they become oriented towards Chachma, and then they start to develop these good midos. You don't underestimate the cumulative effects of seeking out Tochachas Chaim, even on a very, very like infrequent basis. Like it could really affect you, And that's the thing also of like again, I'm glad that like that the yeshiva structure allows us to have every morning start off with Mishlei, but like it has a huge cumulative effect if you do it all the time, because the more out of Mishlei world you get, the easier it is for this Porea Musar part to take over without you even realizing it, of you create a narrative about yourself that I am someone who's interested in perfecting my midos. But then when you look at the people who say that, and you say, okay, tell me what you're doing to perfect your midos. Like if there's nothing in their day to day or week to week that is actually geared towards perfecting their midos, are they really someone who cares about their midos? Like, I don't see it, so that I think that's the trap that not the trap, the pitfall that even someone who like is inclined to be Shemei Tochachah might fall into if he allows that to happen. Okay, I think that's good, right? Okay, good. All right, so it's Q&A tomorrow. Cool. Yeah. All righty. Have a good day.
This is the worst coffee I ever had.